All right. Well, hey, folks. Great to be here. I'm very excited about this panel because, Sui is almost 1 year old. One of the things that have been working most in the Sui ecosystem is DeFi. If you look at the metrics on volume, on users, on volume, they've all been going up quite a bit over the last few months. And lots of the reasons, or I would say maybe perhaps the main reason that is because Sui has very strong builders and protocols that are driving that growth. And today we're going to talk about, perps, options, spot volume, really interesting stuff. And I think the most important thing for me today is, given that there's a lot of builders in the audience, is to really go through your stories so that people can hear about how you arrived to Sui, what did you like, what was the developer experience like, and sort of what are those stories of inspiration so that other folks can sort of do similar things in the future. So maybe to start with, let's just make sure everyone gets to know each other. Can we start telling a little bit about what is your background? How did you get to crypto? How did you arrive at Sui? Maybe let's start with you.
Yeah, happy
AJ.
to start. Can everyone hear me? I think the mic's on. Nice. I'm AJ from the Bluefin team. How did I get into crypto? I think it was out of college. I was just working in San Francisco, software engineer for a few years, and I think constantly you're chasing the next big challenge. And this is 2020. I think this is my first bull run I saw. Things were really exploding, and I was really intrigued. And it was started as weekend projects that started growing, and you had actual interest and users. And at some point, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna go dive into this. And at that time, we started. I think Solidity was the most accessible. Generally, EVMs in general were more accessible, and there was a lot of FOMO in the space when you're joining at a bull run. You have this immense pressure to just build something, get something out, and we did that, and we got live, and then the bear market happened for the next 2-3 years, and I think this is where we were very heads down just building, and we just saw so many just learned so many things. Even on Arbitrum, we would see, or just generally on EVM, we'd see really high gas fees. It was really unsustainable. We'd have outages because of airdrops, other things, system-wide outages, and just net the impact that had on our users. And this is where we we're seeing, okay, this is so much else is happening. There is these DAG-based blockchains, there's L2s, what should we do? And started exploring Solana, Sui, Aptos, some of the L2s, just seeing these things. And there was a lot of metrics everywhere that we had that okay, actually great throughput on several of these things. But then there's with L2s, it was composability and security started becoming a bit of a concern. And then as we started zeroing in, this is kind of a cool part that I think, I don't know, it was really organic in that when we actually had questions, I remember I would reach out to people in Solana or on Aptos, on Sui, and that's where, at this time, I knew nobody at Sui, and I would get these incredible, in-depth, passionate responses from some guy called Sam or Dimitri or others. And over time, I realized these are the CTOs and some of their lead engineers, and they're just giving such in-depth answers. And at that point, I think the people side of it really made a difference, because other places we were just kind of getting non-answers, and this is where we're okay, we're seeing some of the metrics, but these are only low-level metrics. And now we're seeing, wow, this team really cares about what they're building, the passion, the vision, and there's this huge alignment that we eventually started building there in summer of last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so. Not only talking about people being open to talking about your questions and to learn more, but also the developer experience being good, right? And we'll double click about that.
I think developer experience has, I think we're going to get into this. It's become really good. I think they've invested a lot. At that time, there wasn't too much. I think the blockchain even wasn't live, and we were just getting the right answers. Basically, we were going deep. It was making sense, and that I think eventually made was a big factor of our decision.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What about you, Tommy? What's your story? How do you get into crypto, and how do you arrive to Sui?
Yeah, so I'm Tommy. I'm the founder and CEO at Typus, and I joined the industry since about 2019 into a family office, and I started as a crypto research analyst, and the family office grew their business in crypto day by day, bigger and bigger, and in some day they acquired a centralized exchange, and I was appointed as their executive director to handle the trying to get a license from MAS, a DPT license. And later on, they start a quant fund, and I recruit our current team, our devs from crypto hedge fund based in Taiwan. And we start not only quant fund, and we start crypto on Chen there a bit, but built on Solana. So we did a lot of quant stuff and market making stuff and CTA strategy back then. And we built option trading exchange on Solana, but we face a lot of problem like market making on Serum order book is so expensive, and Solana crashed a lot of times, 6 times in like 1 year, and Mango crashes, and we use Mango as Delta 1 component to hedge our like algorithm to make the market for our option order book. So we face a lot of issues there, and we bump into Sui when I remember this event specifically. I think it's a trilemma event in San Francisco, 2022, September. And I think Aptos founder, Sui founder, and Solana founder is all there. And I was there to listen to I think it's a Move language sharing by Sam. And Sam talks about all the benefits of object-oriented model, and some engineers from Typus is still there. And they share with me like how object-centric model can increase the developer experience. It's not account-based. You don't have like double spending, all the benefits. And we are quite excited, but we didn't decide to migrate them. But after like FTX collapse, our team, okay, we definitely need to find something else to do. And the family office stopped backing us, so I decided, okay, I still want to be part of the crypto industry. So I took the team out and started our own business, and we start building Typus and get some support from Mysten, and also a lot of support from the later on incentive program. And that's like how we grow from 0 users to like 70 million trading volume last month. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. By the way, like I think all of you guys have those sort of stories of success of developing early, prototyping, going to testnet, then mainnet, and going from 0 to whatever the number is in terms of like options volume, derivatives volume, spot volume. Like there's a lot of stories of success, and when I look at the charts, because I'm a little bit obsessed with DeFi Llama and all these things, like they seem to be going up. So something happened during that development process that has enabled you guys to build good products that are only getting better over time. And we'll talk about that in a second. But Ted, what's your story?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ted, co-founder and CEO at Turbos Finance. We are one of the major leading DEXs on Sui. We recently just crossed the spot trading volume of 1.2 billion, and we are the Mimi center of Sui. You guys must have known there's a FUD the Puck, around today's venue all the time. So we have some merchandise because FUD, the token, they launched on Turbos last December and brought tons of attention and traders, users, new builders to the Sui ecosystem. There's a conspiracy theory saying that FUD the Puck saved the Sui network, just like Bonk saved Solana, right? And nowadays, this attention is everything. It brings organic volume. Back several years, ahead, right? I was actually in academia, just like Alonso. We know how it works. Things move slowly, and obviously, crypto is where the new industry for the next couple of decades or so. Today, I was so happy to meet students, college students all over Europe coming to this amazing venue and starting exchanging ideas, what they want to build on Sui. That is all very exciting. But personal story, why I came to Sui specifically, I remember during the DeFi summer, I was trying one of the protocols on Ethereum. I'm not going to name it. So first to sign, I agreed to attach my wallet to this protocol, cost $50. And then I started a transaction, it failed. So nothing come out of it from the $100. I was so fed up with that. That's one thing. So thankfully, Sui has a much better economy. Everything, it costs like cents, right? And second of all, I deeply researched the data structure of the EVM. So what they talk about the asset on EVM, it's like a numerical value that lives under a building called smart contract. So it's not standalone or independent. If something goes wrong with that building, with that smart contract, your asset is gone. While on Sui, it's fundamentally different, right? Object is the first class citizen. And that's really what the first priority of DeFi is, the ownership. And that really, brought me and my team and building on Sui. And we're super excited about what we have done and what we're building in the future.
I think that's an amazing story. All the three stories are amazing, and I think when you said academia moves a little bit slowly, you were being generous. At the same time, I could say crypto sometimes could probably slow down just a little bit. It's hard to keep even track of all the cool innovation that's happening. But I would like to double down on sort of, you made the point of there's some sort of, it seems like there are some decisions that have been made elsewhere, for example, how assets are treated in Ethereum that are sort of like, you're kind of locked into that forever, and it's going to be very hard to build really cool products at scale that can sort of live in that type of world. Whereas Sui has a very different type of architecture, which is more amenable to that. And sort of speaking a little bit more generally, when I think about Sui's tech, there's the object-centric architecture, there is the ability to horizontally scale the chain, and that delivers, the really low latency. For example, the numbers that Dimitri was quoting earlier, 0.64 seconds for end-to-end settlement finality. Seems pretty cool. Coming with Mysten, the low, high throughput, low latency, all that kind of stuff. But then there's also, from the programmability point of view, a lot of cool stuff that you're able to build DeFi strategies atomically with programmable transaction blocks that would be very hard elsewhere. You have things like ZK login and sponsor transactions that enable user experiences which are very close to what people are used to in Web 2, but perhaps not in Web 3, and that is a key differentiator. So I was curious to hear from each of you what parts of Sui's tech, both in terms of the infra, in terms of the programmability, has been critical to what you've built in order to offer a differentiated product relative to what exists elsewhere. And maybe this time, Ted, we can start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm about to share some alpha at this stage. This is not something currently live. That's
Nice.
Excited about it. So at Turbos, we're building a unique auto rebalancing vault for LP management. So what it does is brings your liquidity provision position back to give the best opportunities to earn yields and rewards. But one of the key things that I observe from all the other chains is typically this type of product, they use this so-called share pool model where LPs, their vault, their fund is represented as a share of the pool. Reason being that, if you change the position frequently, it consumes a lot of gas, and it's not really feasible, and transaction may fail. So you may they can't handle hundreds or thousands of objects. They don't even have objects, but positions at the same time. Well, what we've built, we think, okay, with Sui's unique economics, gas efficiency, and the object model, for the very first time in DeFi, we're able to build an isolated vault product for LPs, for a new possibility for liquidity management. So what it does is, every user's position is uniquely presented as an object. It's not affected by, if there's something going on with the vault. Let's say there's a flash loan. Everybody's concerned about flash loan, price manipulation, LP shares being diluted. That has happened on other chains. Well, what we've decided to do is let's just represent each person's position individually. All right. So we rule out this share dilution issues forever from the fundamental level, and of course with the support at the Sui's gas efficiency, for the first time it's possible, it's achievable to do that with manageable gas costs. And just like Alonso mentioned, there's a unique feature like sponsor transaction to lower the onboarding cost for trying new product, and also make the whole flow feasible, rather than asking a retailer user to pay fees upfront. All right, here's sponsor transaction. Let's just do it. Let's try this new product. Enjoy your yield. So this is something we are very excited about. And Alonso also mentioned the PTB. What PTB does is it allows different protocols to really work together to build on top of each other and finish one transaction, finish every business in one transaction. Just like if you want to borrow money from the bank and use it to buy a new property, for example, just as an analogy, in the real life, you know how long it takes, so you have to go to multiple places. But on Sui, it can be finished in one transaction. That is amazing. That opens a lot of new possibilities. I'm so happy to have had great conversations today at this stage, for fresh new ideas. So looking forward for the years to come.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have to say, like, there's nothing that makes my day more than going on Twitter and seeing someone take a screenshot of a PTB that has a very complex like trading strategy. And I think it also sort of showcases, what a lot of us believe blockchain should be, like, that idea of interoperability, of composability, of being able to do a lot of stuff, but being able to do it atomically in a way that really leverages the technology in a way that is good for the trader, for the liquidity provider. I think that's pretty cool. What about you? What about you guys, Tommy? In what ways has Typus been able to benefit from Sui's tech to offer like cooler products?
Yeah, I think one thing that PTB is great. Definitely, we use a lot of PTB. But I think one key stuff that Sui has changed is the gas rebate mechanism. So before, during Typus V1, we didn't have too much optimization on that end. So the settlement for our weekly votes, the cranking cost is about, because we use a lot of dynamic fields, and that every behavior using the dynamic field is very cost heavy on the gas part. And then we invent this new data structure called Big Vector. Basically, we trade spaces with time. So we want to settle this position from like 10,000 users, different position, and settle them all at once. So we need to do it like in one transaction. But how can we do it cheaply? And we invent this Big Vector data structure, and we basically can spend a lot of gas fee upfront, and in the end of this transaction, we get it back from the gas rebate. So it's like flash loan, but in gas fee. So it's very cool, and it's only doable on Sui, and that makes our votes. So before we can only do weekly vote because of this Big Vector stuff, we can do very short-dated option trading right now. So we can provide hourly option or even 10 minutes option because of this improvement on gas efficiency. So if you want to do this kind of high frequency settlement on Chen, and without, if the gas fee is like 100 Sui every settlement, you basically cannot afford it. But right now we can do it like 0.1 Sui or 0.05 Sui every settlement. So that makes our business model, that actually creates a new type of option trading because of this kind of mechanism. It's all fully on chain. Yeah. So that's something I think we need to see, that how Sui is, how innovative Sui is, how that kind of application Sui given protocols like us to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, I love that you mentioned the stuff on the gas rebate and everything that, the storage fund. That's pretty close to my heart. So I think it's pretty exciting because, as you say, not only does Sui enable folks to actually store data on chain, but it lets you do it in an economically intelligent way in which you can recycle that storage whenever you need to sort of delete data and sort of store new data. And it's not like you need to, pay up front every time. So it makes it very efficient and enables these really cool type of products. I think, AJ, you guys have a pretty interesting story because you were actually live on Arbitrum and had considerable volume there. And then you integrated Sui. And there was a short moment, maybe a month or two, in which Bluefin coexisted on Arbitrum and Sui. And at some point, something that makes me also very happy, you decided to leave Arbitrum, deprecate that, and go all in on Sui. So I would assume that part of the reason is because the Sui tech delivered something that you couldn't do on Arbitrum, or something that convinced you to do that. So what's that story?
And I mean, honestly, I think it's all of the above. The things you mentioned, the things Tommy and Ted mentioned. They're like, you start with, in our case, we're doing a few hundred million in volume every day. So like we have to bring all these transactions on chain and without delays in users' ability to withdraw. And we're able to, do that without really any outages or driving up the gas fees. That's the second part. I think throughout this whole time, gas fees have more or less, like Sui price goes up and gas goes up and then it rebalances, and like been hovering around 1 cent for us. It's very, it's very sustainable for us to sponsor that and completely abstract that away from users. You combine that with the features that Sui is giving us to easily sponsor those transactions, like just built that natively. ZK login, again, like, and it's not like social auth, for example, isn't available on other ecosystems, but it's not available natively. And that makes it that much easier to just integrate from our side. It's that much more secure. You're now not trusting some other party to secure this key, or you're trusting the quality of their engineering team. You're really getting this out of the box from the Sui blockchain and their SDKs. And I think that's just allows developers coming on to get these things integrated that much faster and rely on the quality of the infrastructure. And it's genuinely, I think, makes for an incredible developer experience.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And by the way, shout out to like all the DevX engineers that are here that have helped enable part of that experience and hopefully made all your lives better. It's kind of like, I'm surprised how quickly the time has gone. We have like 3 minutes left. But maybe just briefly to end, I hope like everyone has gotten like a little bit of inspiration from very established builders who clearly know the code base of Sui and how to program cool DeFi applications that actually have traction, so that you guys can emulate these stories going forward. But maybe just to end up 1 minute each of you, the metrics on Sui in terms of DeFi are growing, whether it's liquidity, whether it's volume, whether it's users, both derivatives and spot and options. What comes next? Like, what is next in that go-to-market strategy, and what is next in terms of that development roadmap? Like, what are the new features that you're gonna produce, and why should we keep, like, we're very excited about your products, but why should we even more excited about the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is just to keep increasing the user base, increasing the volumes. For us, that comes down to better liquidity. We're constantly trying to bring on more market makers, more institutional partners. They really drive that. And then the other side of that is they need retail flow. And again, I think there's so much user experience work that Sui is working on, that we're working on, and how do you make it really easy? You can get Google Auth, but like, okay, now there's not funds in here. So there's things like ZK-Send, there's integrations across centralized exchanges and other blockchains to bridge funds in. And the goal is, how do you just keep this really simple? You do not need to leave the app, and like you can just click through things, and as little clicks as possible. Programmable blocks allow us to chain things, and just really honing in on user experience, increasing the liquidity and overall capital efficiency of the system. And I think these things combined will allow for volumes to keep going upwards.
Cool. So for Typus, we have a dynamic NFT called Tails by Typus, and we are actually treating it as an on-chain incentive system powered by the Sui innovation tech stack. And we are building different types of games. So like for us, like option is types of game for users to play on. And next, we will be building a Delta 1 component within Typus. And we will be doing some integration between like perpetual plus options. How can we do automation, delta neutral strategy? How can we realize users like in the money position on the option side, and how can we get the user much better user experience by doing all that together? And by interaction with Typus, your tails level up, and you can get some fee rebate or potentially some stuff dropped for the tails holder. So we are trying to give different types of trading experience, and I think Sui is very focused on gaming, and I think that's one of the reasons why Typus choose to build on Sui, because we also want a lot of retail flow, and we want to give like real retail penetration of options to another level. So I think that goes hand in hand with our strategy of having tails as the core of our user management system. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think like what you were touching upon on like the obsession on user experience is something that everyone here shares. Like we're all obsessed with the user experience, with the developer experience, just making things, as fun and simple to work with.
Make
but
it another
amazing.
level.
Yeah, another level. Love that. I guess like last but not least, Turbos.
Yeah, definitely. Just anchor what Tommy and AJ said. Yeah, user experience is really the key for the next few years. Still remember, Sui's vision is on board the next 1 billion users to Web3 world, and we are all working together towards this same goal. So in this year, ZK login and ZK send, these things will be integrating to Turbos to reduce the onboarding fraction. Also, the PTB just allows one transaction going through several protocols. One funny thing is, people are super happy about airdrop, and just a couple of days ago, DeepBook announced airdrop, and a lot of Turbos users, why do I get DeepBook? Why am I eligible? They don't know. And then we then tell them, Turbos actually split trades between our liquidity pool and DeepBook. So even though your front end is using Turbo, but you're actually using multiple DeFi protocols, and that's why you're eligible for DeepBook airdrop. And similar things will happen in the future, right? Sui's airdrop season is coming, and we're integrating with more protocols. So you will be eligible for more airdrops by using Turbos, right? So this is something I think it's really cool. Users don't even realize it, but it's going through multiple products. And with individual DeFi protocol getting mature, it's really about composability. How do we combine things together to make something cool and fundamentally different from others? Yeah.
That's pretty cool, by the way. It's like it really sort of showcases the ability of again leverage that interop and composability to have like all those things connected under the hood, and the user might not really understand what's going on, nor should they. However, the experience that is delivered to them is the best because they're making sure that their trade is executed through the deepest markets, the most efficient ones.
It was a sweet surprise, though.
Sweet surprise.
To many users.
Great. Well, we'll end on that. Thanks, guys. This was amazing. I hope people were inspired by this. I'm sure DeFi is going to keep on growing, and Turbos, Typus, and Bluefin are going to achieve even new heights very soon. Okay. Thank you.